I was bored, so I just went ahead and did a bunch of deep web research about basically government contracting statistics. I love statistics. I'm a nerd about that. You're gonna know kind of the things that you really would wanna know that to give you some actionable and just deep, insightful thoughts on if you should move forward on a certain bid or maybe if you shouldn't. So all that being said, let's dive right in. So basically, I'm not gonna lie, I went to ChatGPT, but it did a great job. It took like 3 minutes and it just went through. I saw all the sites that it was spinning through and looking for stuff. And I was honestly very amazed by what it surfaced. A lot of good numbers. And honestly, this is the kind of stuff that if you're going after government contracts, this is insightful. Overall, it's just really nice to know a lot of these, they're big numbers. And you can take these and really understand how agencies buy. So this gives you a lot of really good patterns that you can take and use. And if you're bidding, it really is important to kind of know the backstory, kind of hidden behind the curtain on these purchasing decisions. And this also gives you a bit of an insight into how likely you are to win in certain scenarios. All right, so we're going to be going through 7 key statistics, and each one has been whittled down from a larger list, and I only am going to be going over the really cool, important ones that if I were you, I'd really want to know. And the first one, we're starting really big, like total federal obligations. Last year, this is preliminary because it's not the full audited number or amount right now, but 646 billion in federal spending, down from 755 the year before, understandably down. We had Doge, we had a government shutdown, entire culture shift in government. People spending money had an intense feeling of having to feel like they had to justify their spend, their purchases. So going into this year, I think that culture will carry over, but I also think we're going to be moving up into the mid 700 billions again, because last year, a lot of things didn't get bought that needed to get bought. Government needs to keep pushing forward. So the takeaway here is that the market is still very massive. The government is a Fortune 1 company, but it tightened last year. Where it's going to go in the future, who knows? But yeah, I mean, this overall trend, it goes up and down, and it usually goes up and up and up. If you're watching this 10 years from now, the trends are what they are in government spending. They don't shift a whole lot. But another takeaway is just focus on 1 or 2 agencies as you're just getting into government contracting, and work to dominate a niche instead of just chasing every little car that drives down the street. Just be very selective. Number 2 is just cross-comparing what defense spending looks like as compared to civilian spending. So just for definition, defense is one agency, Department of War. Civilian are all of the other agencies, Department of Transportation, State, Commerce, anything and everything else. So defense last year was at about 350 billion, whereas civilian was under 300. Defense was higher. The year before, defense was sizably higher, 445 billion, as opposed to civilian being around 310 billion. So takeaway here is, just the numbers are what they are. Defense is better to be, better place to be because there's more spend there. But you always have to take into account that civilian is always going to be way more accessible if you're new to government contracting. So if you see a big defense opportunity, it's a very good kind of fit for what you do. You may still want to stay away from it just because defense requires deeper relationships oftentimes and a lot of kind of big, hairy compliance stuff like cybersecurity and sourcing and all sorts of stuff like that. So know what you're getting into as you're transitioning over to defense, but probably best to start on the civilian side and go after those other agencies first. Now, the third one, and this is an interesting takeaway. You might be a service provider, you might sell products, maybe you're both, but wouldn't you like to know the distribution of government spending between services and products? Well, I'm about to tell you. Services dominate pretty heavily. I mean, look at this. On the civilian side, 256 billion compared to 54 billion. That is what, 5x? So 5x of the spend on the civilian side is going over to services. On the defense side, services are 240 billion versus 205 billion in products. Very different, which is crazy interesting to me. On the civilian side, services are up here, products are down here. Defense, services are up here, but products aren't too far behind it. They're both in the 200 billion range. So interesting stuff. Takeaway, is really, sell outcomes, labor categories, and performance metrics, not just products. So if you think, oh, government only buys products, through these different channels, don't verify. There are a lot of misconceptions out there. Let's go into the next one. All right, here we are to slide number 4, and this one is really, really interesting. And I am amazed by the results, honestly, and I've wanted to know what this was for a long time. And we're really talking about competition. So competition is basically defined as when a government buyer puts something out to bid, how often is it in a full competition environment as opposed to just a direct sole source or lower competition situation. So turns out I can give you a few numbers. 68% overall went fully into competition. That's kind of taking that and getting a little more granular on the civilians agency side, 84% more competition. On the defense side, less competition. Kind of makes sense. There aren't as many defense contractors that are at a high level because there's just a lot of layered in requirements. So the competition is, just less. They sole source because there really is only one company that makes this solution and has all of the DoD, DOW requirements, and that's how that goes. So the takeaway here really is that in defense, relationships and vehicles, contracting vehicles matter. That's just how they buy. In the civilian side, you may want to just, like I said in the earlier slide, go after civilian first, but just sharpen your proposal quality because there is a lot of bidding going on there. A lot of opportunities to win. And then the great thing about government contracting is as you win first, right? But then you also have to have an amazing solution and delivery. As your reputation grows because your delivery is so amazing, you start to move into the hidden side of all this, and that's the non-competition area where buyers find ways to go right over to you without any competition. Wouldn't that be nice? All right, we're at number 5. More kind of going deeper into the same topic as before, competed versus non-competed. So defense had 250 billion of competed contracts as opposed to 194 billion of non-competed. So before we were giving you percentages, now we're just giving you dollars. Same data, different angle as you're looking at it. So yeah, defense 250 competed, civilian 261 billion competed. So civilian agencies, although they spend way less, they have more dollar-wise that's competed. So it's a bigger market if you're only going after those opportunities that are going into competition. And then wrapping up, about 50 billion went through civilian agencies without competition. The takeaway here is to get into IDIQs, BPAs, GWACs. Those are those areas where dollars flow through these vehicles and there isn't as much, it's a lower competition. So this is where I stop and I tell you what I do. We help companies get into the GSA program. That's basically an IDIQ contract. It's a very, very big one and a very, very good one with 12 categories that are industry based. So reach out to me if this is something where you're getting little flags going off in your head and you're saying, this is what I want to do. I want to go after those lower competition in the civilian agencies. This is the place where I could probably help. And when I say probably, very definitely help you, just give you good information to help you make the right decision for you. Here we are in slide number 6, and I thought I'd do a little bit of a deep dive here and give you some information about small business, disadvantaged, women-owned, just the dollars and percentages that go, from federal projects into these different business categories. We're all kind of talking about SBA certifications now. So on the small business side, 183 billion, which is about 29%. Small disadvantaged in 2024 was 78 billion or 12%. Women owned 5% at 31 billion, 32 billion. And the takeaway really is just that this is an advantage. If you are eligible for any of these, jump in. Now, what I always tell people when they ask, should I get into GSA? Should I get into 8A? Should I get women-owned status, veteran-owned status? I'll usually say the buyers look first at your solution, your price, and your trust, the level of trust they can have in you. And those 3 things are really covered in the GSA multiple award schedule program or any other vehicle. So get into the right vehicle first and then start focusing on knocking some of your competition within that vehicle away with some of these SBA certifications. And really the reason is SBA certifications aren't going to deliver you opportunities. Get the opportunities first and then go to the, fine tune from there. Go to the next level and find ways to increase your potential of winning those opportunities. And that's what these SBA certifications can do. Agencies have to meet goals, and they try to meet goals genuinely when it comes to these, but I mean, they don't meet them. On the small business side, I believe the goal is 32%. They didn't meet that. Small disadvantaged, I think 12% is the goal. They met that. Women owned, I think the goal is higher than 5%. So they're not really meeting the goals, but they're getting kind of close. And we are here at the 7th slide, the last one. GSA multiple award schedule, 51.5 billion went through in 2024. 2025 was about the same. 26 is expected to about 4x according to the GSA administrator. So it's a growing program. Takeaway is really just that if you're not on the multiple award schedule program, you don't have a GSA contract, it's a really optimal way for, getting opportunities that are lower competition, and it makes the acquisition process just so much easier for you, and more importantly for government buyers. They really do need things to be a little bit easier for them. So if you are interested in that, just reach out. I won't tell you how. Go to gsafocus.com. You'll figure it out. But that's it. Overall, I hope this video gave you some value. Click that little subscribe button below. I'm releasing one or two of these every week, and I think so deeply and so hard just to try to come up with topics that if I were in your shoes as a small business considering or even killing it in the government space, what would I want to know? What are those kind of small little levers that can be pulled on to make some big improvements? And that's what I'm here to try to find for you. Also, drop your ideas in the comments. If I'm talking about all this stuff and you're like, when is Josh going to release a video on that? Just ask me to in the comments. I read them. I respond to every one of them. So thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.